This is chapter 5. We'll start here at the beginning. The integumentary system. So the integumentary system includes the skin and all of its appendages, hair, nails, and skin glands, and it consists of 2 layers. You have the epidermis and the dermis. As you can see here, the epidermis is the top part. Epi means upon. The dermis is the middle part. It has all the blood vessels. It also has sweat glands. It also has nerve endings. The hypodermis, hypo means below, so this is below the dermis. The hypodermis has all the fat, also has a lot of the blood vessels. It also has nervous tissue associated with it as well. The sweat glands will exit onto the epidermis. So when you get a blister, what happens is the epidermis rubs on top of the dermis, and you start to get some swelling in between these layers, and right in here, liquid starts to pool, and it lifts the epidermis up. So that's where you get a blister. So the skin is a cutaneous membrane. It's a primary organ and the largest organ in the body. Some of the appendages on the skin are hair, nails, sweat, and oil glands. We kind of talked about the sweat and oil glands. Also, obviously, hair and nails are appendages to your skin. Pretty basic. So the structure of the skin, you have 2 layers. You have the epidermis, which is the outermost layer, like we talked about, and the dermis is the innermost layer. The epidermis does not have blood vessels, and it obtains oxygen and nutrients by diffusion from the dermis. If you've ever noticed, if you peel off a blister and you leave that skin tag sitting on the ground or whatever for a couple days, same with a nail that you may clip, when you clip your toenails or your fingernails, if that keratinized tissue doesn't have attachment to your body, then it doesn't get the diffusion of the nutrients and the oxygen. And so they get brittle and hard after a couple of days. Your dermis has connective tissue, has a lot of blood vessels, it's got sweat glands, it's got sebaceous glands and nerve endings and hair follicles like we talked about. The hypodermis lies underneath the dermis. It's connective tissue that binds the skin to the underlying tissues, to your body, really. It's also known as the subcutaneous layer. It has a loose connective tissue or adipose tissue and fat tissue. So if you take your skin and pinch it, you're able to move it around a little bit. And that's the part that you're pinching is your epidermis and your dermis. And as you pinch it and move it around, it's sliding on top of your hypodermis. That loose connective tissue will help to insulate your body from the outside temperature changes, and it acts as a reservoir for energy. So your layers of epidermis, you're going to have the stratum corneum, which is up here, and the stratum basale, which is down here. And what happens is new cells are made down on this layer, and as these cells slough off, the newer cells rise to the top, and they become keratinized tissue. So the stratum basale is the innermost layer of the epidermis. It has new cell production. Cells are pushed upwards, and these cells contain melanocytes, or melanin-producing cells. The stratum corneum, or the outermost layer of the epidermis, has keratinocytes, and the keratinocytes, they produce keratin. It's a water barrier, and it makes your skin surface durable, resistant to abrasions, and waterproof. Skin color comes from melanocytes, which produce melanin. Melanin protects the nucleus from UV rays, and the amount and type of melanin determines your skin color. So when you go to a tanning bed or you go outside and you get tan, the UV light is damaging your cells. And so in order to prevent the damage from happening, your cells will produce melanin to get a darker shade. A darker shade will prevent more UV rays from damaging your normal skin cells. So in actuality, white people that have gone to the tanning bed have darker skin because they have damaged their cells and their bodies are producing melanin to prevent further damage. So tan skin is not necessarily healthier skin, it's actually damaged skin. Also, you can get abnormal changes in your skin color from a bruise or from jaundice. So if you want to learn more about the functions of the skin, see page 72. Obviously, there's a protection, which is considered the primary function. That's an important quiz question. It acts as a barrier. You get vitamin D production, you get sensory perception, and you have thermoregulation. New skin cells will produce which tough fibrous protein? The answer is D, keratin. Collagen and elastin are connective tissue proteins, and they help form dermis. Melanin is a skin pigment. Let's talk about hair. Hair originates down in your dermis, and then it passes through the epidermis. You got the shaft, the hair follicle, the bulb, the papilla. I'm not going to ask you to know any of those. What I do want you to know is the erector pili muscle, which attaches to your epidermis down to the shaft and the base of the hair. When you get goosebumps or someone tickles you, then the hair will stand on end. And that's because your erector pili right here contracts and pulls and straightens up your hair. This is called standing on end. Eyes are protected by hair. Eyelashes and eyebrows will keep sweat out of your eyes. The nostrils have hair because hair will filter out dust. And then your head has hair to insulate you and to protect your scalp. Alopecia is excessive hair loss due to aging, disease, and poor nutrition. Here's a picture of the way your nails look. You got the nail bed, the nail root, the free edge, the cuticle, which is here, and then your lunula, and that's that crescent moon-shaped white part on your fingernails. Lunula literally means lunar or crescent-shaped. So nails are densely packed. They're heavily keratinized epithelial cells. You have your nail bed, which is a layer of epithelium underneath the nail, and that is where the diffusion comes from of oxygen and nutrients to keep your nail supple and soft. The lunula is a crescent-shaped white area at the base of the nail, and then the cuticle is the fold of skin that surrounds the nail body. Let's talk about glands. You have sweat glands, sebaceous glands, and cremonese glands. Glands are important. These will be on your quiz and on your midterm. You're going to have eccrine glands, sweat glands. So of your sweat glands, you have eccrine glands, you have apocrine glands, which are here, and then you have sebaceous glands, which are here. So notice that apocrine and sebaceous both are associated with the hair follicle. Sweat glands, you have these are the most numerous skin glands. You have a couple different types. You have eccrine and apocrine. An eccrine is a duct that leads to the skin surface, but an apocrine is a duct that leads to a hair follicle. So eccrine, these are going to produce sweat. It's going to have potassium, ammonia, lactic acid, uric acid, and other wastes, and it plays a chief role in helping the body maintain a constant temperature and eliminate waste. They are abundant on your palms, soles, forehead, and upper torso. This is pretty watery sweat. This is the sweat that gets into your eyes. Then you have apocrine glands, and these are scented glands. Had emphasis on scent here. These are your stinky glands, and they respond to stress and sexual stimulation. A strong odor is produced as bacteria on the skin begin to degrade substances in the sweat. They function at puberty, and these are the ones that are in your groin and in your armpit regions. So these are associated with pubic hair. Sebaceous glands secrete sebum. It's an oily substance, and these also open to a hair follicle, and they help keep skin and hair from drying out. It has a mild antibacterial and antifungal effect, so this goes up to the hair on your head. Production increases during adolescence, and a lot of this will accumulate in your gland ducts. Pimples and blackheads will form because too much oil will be produced, and bacteria can get inside your sweat gland and cause it to clog up, and thereby you get a zit. Cremonese glands are located in the external ear canal, and they secrete waxy substances called cerumen, and that's basically earwax. It keeps your ear canal from drying out. So which gland secretes sweat onto the skin's surface? It's eccrine. Okay, know this paragraph right here. Apocrine secrete sweat into hair follicles. Sebaceous secrete sebum into a hair follicle. And cremonese secrete cerumen into the external ear canal. Let's talk about burns for a second. Burns are pretty serious, and serious burns can cause 75% of circulating fluid volume to leak out within the first few hours. It will lead to a circulatory collapse and cardiac arrest, and these are classified according to depth, or the number of tissue layers affected. Important here is the rule of nines, an estimation of percentage of body surface area. The body is divided into 11 areas of 9%. Okay, so I want you to know the rule of nines, and that it is an estimation of percentage of body surface area. Okay, here's your assignment. Test your knowledge, 79, 1 through 10. Here's your homework, page 48, 49, and 50. Take care of this stuff. We'll see it on next Tuesday. We'll check it off. We'll do test reviews. We've got the structure of the skin. Know what those are. Know what the layers of the epidermis is. What the structures are in the dermis. Know the functions of the skin. And then know key terms. Keratin, melanin, lunula. Know what regulation of the body temperature is done by. Erector pili muscles, rule of nines, and sebaceous glands. Okay, stay tuned for Chapter 6 and Chapter 7.